I'm Alice Barr in Washington. At the start of a holiday weekend, President Trump is preparing for major events in Mount Rushmore and here in the nation's capital, while at the same time leaders across the country are urging people to avoid large crowds that could become coronavirus spreaders, super spreaders. Already, cases are surging to record-breaking highs that are forcing hospitals to be stretched to the limits and many businesses to shut down once again. President Trump focusing on a positive jobs report for June that came out yesterday, while his Democratic rival Joe Biden is accusing the president of declaring victory in the middle of a crisis.
Testing positive. Henry County businessman and Trump campaign surrogate Herman Cain is in an Atlanta hospital this morning battling COVID-19. Posting on Twitter, Cain says he tested positive on Monday and by Wednesday was sent to the hospital. The former 2012 GOP presidential candidate is awake and alert and not on a ventilator. Just 2 weeks ago, Cain was at President Trump's rally in Tulsa not wearing a mask. But in a tweet, his spokesperson says there's no way to know for sure how or when he contracted the virus.
I'm Elwin Lopez. Airbnb releasing a new policy trying to crack down on unauthorized parties by banning those under the age of 25 with no track record of positive reviews from renting an entire house in their area. Now, this comes just ahead of July 4th weekend and amid the pandemic.